program here, Focus on Liberia. Welcome, welcome, and welcome. And thank you for joining us here. Today is Wednesday and is special. And in today's special, we want to talk about the purported removal or expulsion of Senator Darius Dillion from the Liberian Senate. So we want to say thank you again for joining us. Those of you who are with us right now, I want to ask you to kindly help me by sharing this show so that others can be able to join you. I want to say again, welcome and welcome. This is Focus on Liberia. Yeah, I focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia. Today is a special edition of our program we call here the Hour of Politics, and I am your guy, and I'm here to talk about something that almost everybody talking about. Senator Darius Dillion, is he in trouble? Is he in hot water here? That is why we want to know, and I am here with you. So please share the show so that we can get a conversation started here very quickly. And again, our topic is the purported removal or expulsion of Senator Darius Dillion from the Liberian Senate. What did Senator Darius Dillion do for which it seems as though some people want him out? Why they want him out? If they try to get him out, will it solve any problem? Are there plotters here? Are there people who are playing a game here to see Senator Darius Dillion out? Is the CDC, the ruling CDC, having any hand in this that seems to be as though others are wanting Senator Darius Dillion out? So many questions, and I will try to provide some analysis. And at the end of the analysis, I will be able to give you my advice. I will be able to advise the Liberian Senate because it seems that some senators are not happy with Dillion, and apparently they want to see Dillon's out. I will be giving my political advice to the senators. I will also be giving a political advice to the ruling CDC, just in case if the CDC has any hand or any fish to fry in this political pot that is boiling furiously. And I will be giving actually two pieces of advice for the senators, and I'll also be telling you why I think they should not do this and that they can only do the other. So stay with me here and hit that share button as we go into this conversation. So let's get started here, folks. Um, First of all, before we can go into the conversation, it is important for us to know who is Senator Darius Dillion. Who is Senator Darius Dillion? Who is he? We need to know. Well, Senator Darius Dillion is a senator of Monserrado County who, in a faction never seen before, rode on the wings of the collaborating political party. He was a candidate for the collaborating political party, and they were able to grab a Senate seat that many politicians said was more like a seat for the ruling coalition for democratic change. So Senator Dillon has built a political profile for himself. He established himself as the light. Senator Dillon has also been able to communicate in a manner that is more of a Western style of politics. He ran a decent campaign, and in that campaign, we know that instead of Senator Darius Dillion being the one finding the money to run his campaign and giving money to constituents or voters so that they will vote for him, we saw something different. We saw a Dillion going to the people and telling them, I don't have money. If you are looking up to me for money, you will not get a dime. And in fact, those who support Dillon are or were the one that contributed to his campaign. So Dillon raised funds from voters and his supporters for his campaign, and it was successful. Senator Darius Dillion did not give anybody money, did not give rights, did not give money to Liberian citizens, and he got elected. He used a positive message. He promised the people that he will go in the Senate, and that the Senate is dark and the Senate is rotting, and he was going there in that darkness to be able to shine the light. And so he built this profile of a politician who had a unique and simple message. And on that basis, Senator Dillon won the hearts and minds of the people of Monserrado County, and they elected him overwhelmingly in that election. In fact, it is important to point out that Senator Darius Dillion won more votes than President Weah. Now, President Weah won at the time he won the Senate seat in Monserrado County. So that was profound. This is how Senator Darius Dillion has been able to establish himself and build a political profile for himself. And another thing Senator Darius Dillion has been able to do is he has been able to communicate with the Liberian people in a more effective and responsible way. He has the podcast, mostly on a weekly basis, where he comes on and talk to the Liberian people about the happenings in the Senate and also in the country. And throughout the time he has been communicating with Liberian people, he's been so respectful. He's been telling them about the issue, and he's been a little more consistent on message for the most part. So that is Darius Dillion. But let's break it into pieces. The man Dillion. Let's look at the good, let's look at the bad, and let's look at the ugly in terms of introducing to you who Senator Darius Dillion is. All right. And so that is one of the goods that I just talked about Senator Darius Dillion. His ability to communicate in a more responsible way and not using vulgarity like other people who have other platforms will do, using insults. He will go to the issues and he will raise the issues, and he will go as far as individuals who are not doing this and not doing the other and what they should be doing. He will go as far as doing that. That is how Dillion managed to establish himself. And so in no time, he came to prominence, and he had this thing about is the light and the center is rotting, the place is dark, and he's going to carry the light. And people, welcome that message. That's one good about Senator Darius Dillion. And since he been in the Senate, before becoming senator, he made a couple of promises. The one I remember, one of the most admired one by people was that which he said that if he were to be elected, he would be able to tell the Liberian people how much the senators are making, how much lawmakers are making. And Senator Darius also said that he was going to give a certain percentage of his pay to the Liberian people or to his constituents. And he, at least some people are saying, he was able to live by that promise. So when Senator Darius Dillion got his first pay, he was able to disclose it to the Liberian people. And he was able to prove that, yes, the senators there were making around $15,000. And he said for him, he only needed 5,000, and anything above 5,000, he was going to give it back to his constituents. It is a promise, he has been able to meet. Uh, some people say 50%, some people say 100%. It depends on who you talk about. Everybody have a way of arriving at whether or not he was able to fulfill that promise in full, in part. So that is Senator Darius Dillion. That is one of the good things about Senator Darius Dillion. But let's talk about the bad. about Senator Darius Dillion. And stay with me here. After the bad, we'll go to the ugly. And then after we finish with the ugly, then we'll go into our second segment to understand, is there a plot actually for Senator Darius Dillion to be removed as a senator? So stay with me. Let me bring you the bad side of Senator Darius Dillion. And for your information, here I focus on Liberia. We are doing, an analytical conversation here to share with you, what is going on right now with Darius Dillion, why some senators are doing this. So first of all, we needed to tell you who is Darius Dillion politically, his good, his bad, and the ugly. And I just gave you some of the good as far as I know. So let's come to the bad of Senator Darius Dillion. Let us also point out quite clearly here that prior to even Senator Darius Dillion running for the Senate, he went on record by saying that officials of government in Liberia riding $40,000 car and above was totally unacceptable. And that if he were in the position at the time before he could start running for the Senate, he said that if he were in the position of an official of government, he would not take a $40,000 car, and that he will be able to maybe take a $15,000 car and buy used cars to use it. Because at the time he argued Liberia is a very poor country, our budget is so small, and for officials of government to be riding $40,000 car when we have other institutions of government, other institutions in the country that are struggling, the Liberian people are struggling, basic social services are down because the government does not have enough money, and then we have officials of government riding $40,000 car. Dillion at the time, prior to running for the Senate, said that was unacceptable, that was wrong. And, to some point, he said that was another form of corruption. And so that was his stand. But surprisingly, Dillion flip-flopped. When Dillion overwhelmingly got elected as senator, the opportunity came his way for him to be able to live his own word. But Dillion ate his own words. We believe this is one of the bad things that Senator Darius Dillion did, and I think it's a political minus on his part. I think he's put a little dent on his political resume. And so, to go to the point, Dillion took that car, that $40,000 car. I believe that was a Toyota, and he took it. And Dillion started to justify. When people try to hold him accountable, that, hey, Dillion, you said that you will not in any way take a $40,000 car, and now you're taking it. Dillion justify. What is his justification? His justification was weak and it was flat. His justification was that, the car was already purchased by then Senator Jerry Dindo Sharif, who had occupied that position. And unfortunately for her, she passed. She was ill for some time, and that the car was already there. And so he had no option. It was not him asking for the car. Hey, Dillion, the senators in there, they are not the one that asked for the car. It's being appropriated. All right. And that was what you saw. Every car that every government official uses in Liberia is contained in the budget. And that's how they got those cars. So you knew that and you were against it. And now you became senator. The very thing that Senator Darius Dillion had kicked against, Dillion took the car. I think Dillion ate his own words there. And I think that was it was bad on his part. And today, Senator Darius Dillion is using a car. And the thing is that many of the people that supported Darius Dillion campaign, some who even contributed to his campaign, encouraged and begged him to take that car back, to not take the car. But Dillion said no. He had they generally engaged him, and he said he was using a car. And and he went on to give other justification. And Dillion today is using a car. He ate his own words, and I think politically that was bad on his part. Now let's come to the ugly of Senator Darius Dillion. One of the things that seems to be ugly in the eyes of many people who are following politics is the issue of Senator Darius Dillion academic credentials. Senator Darius Dillion academic credentials is one of the major things his critics have on him. Some of them said Dillion is not a high school graduate. And to be honest, Dillion, he said, has been flat on the issue of his high school or graduation records. So whether or not Dillion is a high school graduate by record, it has not been established. Senator Darius Dillion has not been able to convince his critics that he's actually a high school graduate. There are rumors that at some time Senator Darius Dillion claimed he had graduated from the Well Heston High School and that he had also graduated from the St. Clever high school, I think somewhere in Buchanan, and he graduated from these two schools. And the person who wrote a post about this is Samuel Jackson, who was a former deputy minister for education. At some point, he was sent to, I think, Maritime representative somewhere in England, and he too was in some trouble with the government, and the government tried to remove him and all that. So that's the Samuel Jackson I'm talking about. All right, so he wrote that was why Senator Darius Dillion claimed some part that he had graduated from Well Heston, and also he had graduated from the St. Clever High School in Buchanan in, I believe, 1987. And how could Dillion have graduated from two schools at the same time? Why is he calling the names of two schools? But the accusation that Dillion critics are making is that Dillion is not a high school graduate. And Dillion too now, he's been a little more comical about it by saying he's a third grader. And some people see it as a bad, I mean, as something ugly. A senator of that stature, stature, of standing, and he's not a high school graduate at least. Some people think that it's ugly and he's not being strong on this issue. He's not being able to prove his critics wrong, and we think that is another ugly on the part of Senator Darius Dillion. Another ugly, I think that is on Senator Darius Dillion political resume is this issue of the 6,500 or so-called operational funds. So Dillion has established himself as the light, right? And that everything that was not right, he said if there was anything that was not right, he would not take it, and that he would be able to report whatever thing. Well, maybe to Dillon's credit, when the so-called $6,000 was given to the senators as operational funds, the thing is that this very operational fund, as they claim it was given to them just about the time they were asked to do a piece of job for the Liberian people to rectify it or to approve the stimulus package that was contained in the state of emergency. That was when they took the $6,500 as was reported by Senator Darius Dillion. Dillion said at the time that yes, they approved the state of emergency because we were in an emergency situation. They approved the stimulus packages that were contained therein, as was inserted or presented to them by the executive, and they needed to do so, and they did that. But the thing is that they got $6,000, $6,500 according to Dillion, just about the time they were asked to do the piece of job. So why was that? So when you are doing your job, is that when they gave you a constitutionally allotted budget item within the budget? So these were people that were trying to approve something intended for the Liberian people who were in a lockdown. And in there, if you remember, there was packages such as rice distribution to citizens, and also free electricity and the financings of loan taking supposedly by petty traders in the tune of $15 million according to the government. And they were able to ratify that. But the Liberian people for whom you ratifying the deal, you even did not wait to see whether they will get the rights, but the senators were able to take a so-called 6,500 operational fund. Why are we calling this or putting this in a category, or why am I putting this in a category of being ugly? It was because these senators needed to do a piece of job in an emergency situation, emergency time for the Liberian people, something that they sanctioned that yes, the people should stay indoor from 3 p.m. to 6, but then the people have not gotten the rest there, and you are taking $6,500 upfront under this disguise of operational funds. But hey, in no time, the senator came by and said, oh, uh, the decision they made was so insensitive. The country on a lockdown, and they trying to do a piece of job that will help the people. And that was the time they decided to take $6,500. He acknowledged that that was insensitive on their part. They should not have taken the money, and the timing was wrong, and all this justification here and there. And again, why we also calling it back is that the senators have argued that it was operational funds. The money was intended for office supplies and for the running of their offices. But Senator Dillion took that money that they justified was for their operational funds to run their offices. He took that money into the communities and used it on his constituents by buying things for them and also doing constructions of other things. Now, it is a debatable issue. That's his operational funds. And somebody is saying he decides how he spent it. Maybe in his wisdom, operation is meeting the needs of his constituent. But the line item was that operational fund meant how you would run your office. Yomli Kaka even went as far as agreeing with the loan that it was operational funds, even though she apologized, even though she admitted that they was very more insensitive on their part to have done so. She too led Dillion, took 2,000 of that operational funds and sent it to Grand Bassa County to fight coronavirus. 2,000 United States to fight coronavirus in the county. What seriousness does that show? But not leaving the point here is that you can't do that. And we think that was bad. I mean, that was one of the ugly, on the part of Senator Darius Dillion. So what we try to do here is to give you our unique understanding of who is Senator Darius Dillion. So we talk about the good, we talk about the bad, and we talk about the ugly. But despite the good, the bad, or despite the bad and the ugly, Senator Darius Dillion, I believe that he is making some effort. I believe strongly that he is making some effort, that he is standing. He's trying to make some effort to change the narrative, to be able to stand at least. That is my impression. And hey, I can be wrong. I'm a human being. I'm far from Liberia. I'm just all the way here using my political lenses and following it and thinking that he's making some effort. Because what Senator Darius Dillion want to see is that they shouldn't make too much money, that nothing should be hidden. At least that's the effort he's making. And I think it's important for us to recognize that, encourage that. Because if all the senators were making this kind of effort, at least we would be getting somewhere. So Dillion, I can say to you, of all the senators that we have in Liberia today, he has established himself as somebody who is making a frantic effort. Now, whether it's genuine, whether it's honest, whether he's sincere, it is you to make that determination. I've just shared with you my impression, about the effort that he's making. We will know whether or not Senator Darius Dillion is sincere and honest, about the effort that he's making. And so he made this thing about the Senate's been rotting. He's the light. The place is dark. He's going to shine the light. And he has been making consistent efforts by coming out to speak to the Liberian people what is going on wrong. The recent one that got him in trouble now, for which we are talking, this topic today, which is the purported removal or expulsion of Senator Darius Dillion. And we want to know whether by doing so the Senate or the senators are getting themselves into trouble. Further, we will look at whether the CDC has hands in it, because we know all those that support the CDC, officials of the CDC, the only person in the opposition they go after more than any other is Senator Darius Dillion. And now there is this, concocted or purported plan for Dillion to be removed. Is the CDC in any way? We will get to that. So stay with us. We will go into the topic. We will analyze the topic for you to have a broader understanding of it. And at the end, I will also share with you my advice to the senators, to CDC and and what they can do and what they should not do and why. I will give that to you. You don't want to miss that part. But let us conclude. Let's come to the second segment here. And the question we are asking in the second segment here is that, is there a political game at play here to remove Senator Darius Dillion? First of all, let's go at how it all started. So recently, the recast budget passed through the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives got $17,000 each to pass that deal and to send it to the Senate. $17,000 the Senate, the representatives got. They were seen in line, in queue at the Central Bank of Liberia, getting their $17,000 each for ratifying or approving the recast budget. The budgets, they had to recast it because of the emergency that we have on our hand, this pandemic, this coronavirus. So they had to do it because in that recast budget, we had the stimulus package, the rice, the free covering, and the loans. So they needed to do that. But our lawmakers have to take 17,000 out. Like the senator justified then about their 6,500 when they have first passed it. The lawmakers too, I mean the representatives too, are justifying that, oh, it was their arrears that the government had owed them. And you know, so why is it that they have to be giving you these arrears until when you have a piece of job to do for the Liberian people? But hey, fast forward. So the House of Representatives passed it and the Senate to the Senate for concurrence. And so Dillion was hoping that the normal legislative process, the normal concurrence process in the Senate will be able to play out. Because when they first approved it and requested a recast budget to finalize the deal, the things that were contained in the proposal that they have approved, they needed to see whether those things were therein as they had approved previously. And so Dillion wanted to see that this thing was open up for debate. To his almost surprise, it was clear that Senator Abbott, who happened to be a member of the ruling party, did not want to see any formal debate as they would normally do on a budget. He wanted to see this thing pass right away. Dillion said, no, we need to look at this thing. This is a huge document, you know, that is, I don't remember how many pages it has. We needed to read this thing line by line to see that the thing that we are approved are in there and for the Liberian people. But Abbott and people who agree with him in the Senate, they were not prepared for that. They wanted to just pass it. And the other issue is that because the House of Representatives got $17,000 to approve this, there is the sense that apparently the senators too might have gotten even more than what the members of the House of Representatives have gotten. And that's why they were trying to pass their thing out of 4G speed. You see that? So Dillion was there, said, no, we need to look at this. So it's like he was, you know, alone here. Oh, the members of the House of Representatives got 70,000 to pass this thing, and you think the senators too were going to concur on the deal without getting money? It said that some of the members of the Senate got some money already, and so they didn't want to waste time, just as the members of the House of Representatives wasted no time and passed the thing in the middle of the night because they got their court, or they were induced, if you like, by the executive by giving them supposedly what you call arrears. Is that what's going on here in the Senate? And it said that they tried to leave Darius Dillion out because they didn't want him coming out again to say, hey, they gave us this amount just for us to concur on this deal. So they tried to leave him out. So Dillion, in his frustration, not getting answers, walk out. Dillion walked out, and Dillion came as he would normally do, and the press engaged him and asked him, Senator, what's going on in there? And you could see Dillion was furious. His expectation was completely violated. Maybe there was Dillion trying, and to make sure that these lawmakers were doing what they were elected to do. And that is one of the things that Dillion took to the Senate, that we are here to do a piece of job, and we must do it as is required by law. This is a budget for Christ, and we need to debate it. And that was not going on. So Dillion walked out, and Dillion said, look, this House of Senate is rotten. Everybody in there, the senators here, they are useless and they are spineless. Those were the words of Darius Dillion. And that's what got him in trouble today. That's the words Darius Dillion used, and that's what got him in trouble today. Folks, stay with us. We have a phone number on the screen there. In the next 15 minutes, I will open the phone lines for you to call in and participate. Let me make the conversation, and I will also read some of your comments so that we all can hear from you. So there are two ways to participate. You can write a comment, and you can also place the phone call, and then we will be able to take your call. All right? So stay with us. So as I was saying, Dillion said, this place is rotten. This place is dark. These senators are useless. They are spineless. And mind you now, most of these senators are up for re-election. So some of them start using their political lenses to read into Darius Dillion's or condemnation or description of the senators and the whole Senate. That is, this guy is telling the Liberian people that we are a bunch of useless people, and that this place is rotten, and that we are spineless. This guy is positioning himself as the only one who is the light here, as he claimed to be the light. So this guy is putting us against our constituents. These people are already hurting, and a member of this body is confirming what is a suspicion of the people, that we are not in the interest. So if somebody among us is saying we are spineless, we are useless, and this place is rotten, how will these people, upon hearing these kind of descriptive words coming from a member of this body, want to even vote for us? These are people that are hurting. We approve a resolution that contains a stimulus package, rise for the people, free current, electricity, and the people don't know when they will even receive this thing. And the law is saying these things about us. And the delay in these people getting, or our constituent getting, what we approve of will further confirm what the law is saying. We are in trouble here. We got to do something about this guy. So one of the senators, Senator Tingbe, wrote a letter complaining Senator Dillion to the Senate, to his colleagues, that Dillion is trying to put them against the people. Senator Dillion's behavior has brought complete disrepute to that august body, and Senator Dillion's need to be investigated, and maybe if he's found guilty, he can be expelled or he can be suspended. And in their Senate rules, in their rules, there's a possibility. They have done it before. It has happened before. So we know some time ago during the transitional government, Rufo Nova was expelled, maybe was suspended for some time. So the Senate, the lawmakers as a whole, they have rules that when a member behaves in a certain way, they can go about expelling that person or suspending. So many people fear that this is where these senators were going, and that this could be the only way they could protect themselves, because Dillion had put them against the people. So the so-called investigation thing was started, and you could see Facebook was on fire. Those who support Dillion say it's not going to happen. Some people writing touch one, touch all. And people are angry. We have serious issues on our hand. You approve a resolution that has a stimulus package in it for your people, You, the senators, don't even know when the aid will come to the people. And then you're going after a senator who criticized you, and you think that is the most urgent thing right now when we are facing a pandemic, when we are in an emergency situation. This is why you are giving urgency to. Why you can cause Wilson Tapper, who is the head of this rice distribution. Why you can't call Samuel 12 to explain to you how they're going to raise the $25 million for the rice, how they're going to raise the $15 million for this loan, and how many persons so far took loan from the banks, how they got the records from the bank. Who are the petty business people anyway? Are they registered? Should they register? All these basic questions should be asked by the senators, and they're not doing it, and they're going after Darius Dillion. If you get Darius Dillion, does that solve the problem? So Dillion now today, I was following the Senate. Uh, they were having a hearing on that and trying to see if they can decide Senator Darius Dillion fate. So the other thing I want to know here is that if there are any political plotters, what may be a success for them? What I'm asking is, if it is true that some senators want to see Dillon's out, plotting to get him out because he is putting them in bad bowl with their constituents, thereby minimizing their chances of getting re-elected. Does it mean that these senators who see Dillon's statements, his behavior, as threat trying to get him out? And so what would be a success for these would be plotters of Senator Darius Dillion, or those who want to see Dillon's out or suspended? What would be a success for them in your opinion? Well, I think in their opinion, a success for them would mean that Dillion is either suspended, and that when Dillion is suspended, Dillion will not have that leverage. Dillion will not be able to get the information that he has been privileged to get on the daily basis, for the fact that he's a member of the Senate, and anything that goes on in there, he got friends too. They're going to tell him, he's going to see what's going on there. And the thing is that even if he's suspended, they don't got friends. He got young Kanga in there. I'm sure they get along very well. So if Lawrence is in there, whatever happens, Senator Yomli Kanka going to tell Darius Dillion, hey, this is what they thought today, and Dillion will come out and talk. So how will suspending Darius Dillion be a success? So let's talk about expulsion. If you expel Darius Dillion from the Senate, would that be a success for any would-be plotters or any senators who really want to see or might want to see Senator Darius Dillion out? Would that be a success for them? That he's expelled, he's no longer a senator? Would that be a success for them? Well, maybe that's what they are thinking, that it will be a success for them when Senator Darius Dillion is out. That way, they will be able to do whatever they want, and nobody will be able to come out to say it. Because, mind you now, before Dillon's entrance into the Senate, every other thing about pay, every other thing about money given to them to do a piece of job never came out. There was just rumor, and there was never a confirmation of any such thing until Darius Dillion got in there. So maybe they are thinking, if they get Darius Dillion out, nobody now will come out to be able to confirm whatever money they may be taking that might not be, proper in the eyes of, the Liberian people. So for them, doing so will mean a success for them. But here's the thing. I disagree if that is the thinking of these will be plotters. But before I can get to that, let me talk about this other one. Is the ruling CDC having any political fish to fry in this political pot that is boiling? Do you think so? Do you think CDC has any hand in this? Look, I'm just providing an analysis here. This is politics. Anything is possible. And that is why earlier I was able to tell you, politically speaking, who is Senator Darius Dillion. his good, his bad, and the ugly. I gave that to you. He is a thorn in the flesh of the ruling coalition. He defeated them disgracefully. He politically flogged them in their stronghold. They got humiliated politically by Darius Dillion, a man they see as somebody who is an academic escapee, who they see as not having any high school credential. That is what they have on him. But this is the guy that beat them. This is the guy that won more votes than even President Weah. So could the CDC, having been humiliated, politically speaking, in an election by Darius Dillion, could the CDC be trying to get at him in a very smart way here by using another opposition senator to write a letter and demanding an investigation, and that if Senator Dillion, has gone any of the rules in the Senate, for him to be suspended in any ways so that they can maybe kill his spirit and so that he will not be that vocal Dillion anymore? Could this be what they up to here? Is the CDC having hand in anything here? Because mind you now, the CDC has played this game before. The CDC played a game with Cabinet Janet. Cabinet Janet, when the elections, the 2017 election went to court, he gave a discerning opinion. And because of that, the CDC used other, political variables to get at Cabinet Janet. Today, Cabinet Janet is removed. The CDC raised a lot of issues that Cabinet Janet was, stopping road funds, and the road funds needed to be raised so that they could continue, with their agenda of road construction. The CDC came up with Cabinet Janet, being a former war law, and somebody like that should not be in the judiciary branch of government, that should be talking about issues of justice. They brought that up, even though their initial reason for getting that, what's his name, Cabinet Janet out, was that Cabinet Janet abused his power. That Cabinet Janet abused his power. Sorry, somebody was calling me there. That Cabinet Janet abused his power by taking land from a 90-year-old woman. But if you go into that story about the land versus the 90-year-old woman, from what I follow, the CDC did not get it right, but they just were trying to find something, because Cabinet Janet, from the records that were in the positions of the courts and other places, he obtained or acquired the land legally from the old man's son, who having to be the administrator of that property. He the one that sold the land to Cabinet Janet. And the land was purchased when the child was of age, but CDC were making a case that the child was not of age when that happened. But again, they needed to use something from my reading to get at Cabinet Janet, because he has issued a dissenting opinion against the CDC from an election, or for an election that the CDC desperately needed to win. And they won the election, but they still went after Cabinet Janet. And so now that Darius Dillion humiliated the CDC, because when Cabinet Janet gave that dissenting opinion, CDC read too much into it, that this guy was trying to deny them what was legally theirs, constitutionally theirs, the election. All right? That he was trying to deny them of that. Even though they got it, they went after him. How much more about Senator Darius Dillion, who successfully and constitutionally took the Senate seat for them in a humiliating faction? Don't you think the CDC might be engineering something here politically, to embarrass Senator Darius Dillion and get him out? And this is the other piece. The CDC up to this time is yet to announce a candidate against Senator Darius Dillion. Why is that? The CDC, Monserrato County, cannot come up with a candidate. The CDC was sweat in coming up with a candidate against Darius Dillion. Polita Weah, we saw the euphoria. We saw the process that they went through to select this woman. And Dillion flocked the CDC when they had the woman as their candidate, Paulina Weir, and the CDC was humiliated. The CDC felt that Darius Dillion took from them something that was politically theirs. Darius Dillion did it successfully. So could it be the CDC that is going after Dillion? Could it be the CDC? At least Cabinet Janet was trying. He didn't succeed. CDC won that election, but they went after him. They got him out. Dillion took something from them politically. A faction that was humiliating for them politically. And the CDC, supporters of the CDC, surrogates of the CDC, those who support the CDC and support the president, which is their right to do so. If there is one Liberian who they go after viciously on everything, is Darius Dillion. Even when this 6,500 thing came out, when even CDC senators too got this money, supporters of CDC could not go after their own senators who took the $6,500 that Dillion also took. It was okay that their senators or CDC senator took it and other opposition senator took it. But for them, it was not okay for Darius Dillion to take it. And so all the criticism went against Darius Dillion. He was corrupt. He was not who he claims to be. He's fake. And they said that to only Darius Dillion. Even though all the 30 senators in the country took that money, but they singled out that one man. I'm talking about CDC, surrogates, supporters. That's what they did. Why? And right now, as we speak, on Facebook, supporters of the government officials, they see this as an opportunity for Darius Dillion to be embarrassed. They want Senator Darius Dillion out. They said it clearly on podcasts, in their posting on Facebook. They are saying he should be suspended. Some are saying he should be, expelled. They want to see an expulsion for Senator Darius Dillion. So, folks, in cyberspace, could the CDC be engineering what is going on here? Let me make my final point here, and then I'll bring you in. So, are those senators preferring the expulsion and suspension of Darius Dillion playing with fire here? That's my final question, and I will give an analytical answer, then I will try to bring you in. Could the senators who want to see Dillion out here, are they playing with fire? Because at least for people living in Liberia who are not happy with what's going on, who are not satisfied with the performance of our senators, at least they will say Dillion is making some effort. He's the only one who is trying to tell them what is happening in the Senate that the people are not happy with. And so for these senators to try to get Dillion out, I don't think those who are not satisfied with the senator performance will be happy with that. And so if they should succeed to expel or suspend Dillion, I think that will heighten the anger of their constituents who are not already happy with them and at least are happy with Darius Dillion. And the fact that many of them have up for re-election, I think they might be in political trouble here. So I think they are playing with fire. But my advice is here. To the CDC, if the CDC has any hand in this, I will advise they stop. I will advise they stop. The best they can do is to find a candidate and put that candidate against Darius Dillion. Because if it is established that the CDC have any hand in it, it further expose them that they have no competitor against this Dillion guy and that they cannot beat him in an election. And so they are using extraordinary means to get at him. It will show how weak and vulnerable the CDC has become if it is established that they have any hand in it. So my advice to the ruling coalition If you are having hand in this, I will advise you stop. Because if it comes to light, you will further be exposing yourself how weak you are, how vulnerable you are, and how desperate you are, and further justifying that you can't win this guy in an election, so you want to do it the other way around. And if the people of Liberia get to know the fact that they're not happy with the CDC performance, maybe some of them, I don't think that everybody not happy. Some people are happy, I want to believe, but most of the people that are not happy, especially in Morovia, my evidence is that they don't beat you people overwhelmingly. So most of the people in Morovia are not happy with the CDC. And if that most that I just talked about again get to know that this is what you're doing, I think it will further increase the number, and Dillion might be able to beat you people again in the election. So if you are in this at all, using my political lenses, it may be a possibility. I'm not sure, but then I will say to you, you should stop. And then, and I want to say that they should not expel Senator Darius Dillion. They should not expel Senator Darius Dillion because by doing so will boost his political standing. Because if you attempt to suspend Darius Dillion and you succeed in suspending him, when he returns, he will be more powerful. He will boost his political standing. That he was against the ills in the Senate, that he was right to say the place is dark, and that he was right that he's shining the light and people don't want to see the light, so they kick him out to silence him, to kill his spirit. When he returns, he will be more powerful. It will boost the political standing. And the everyday anger that is in the people will increase and they will tend to hate members of the Senate more. So I will advise the senator, is that what they're planning? They needs to stop. Be it expulsion or suspension, they should stop. Now, what can they do? What can I advise the Senate to do? What I want to advise the Senate to do is at least they should give Senator Darius Dillion a warning. Why should they give him a warning? Did he do or say anything wrong? The language by Darius Dillion that the senators are useless can be interpreted uh, in many ways. The senators could say, like, for you calling us useless, you are referring to our persons. You are referring to our person. That we are useless people. That means I'm a useless father. I'm a useless son of this county and that county. I'm a useless daughter of this county and that county. Because he said the senators here, they are useless. To say to somebody they are useless, it does not speak well. It's not a right language. If you say that they are not effective, they are not doing their work, they're not doing what they were elected to do, that would be a better language. But to say to them that they are useless, it's debatable. Somebody say, well, if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, I think that's what Dillion was saying. That means they are useless. But these people can interpret it. Their supporters can interpret it. I can interpret it another way. It could mean this. It could mean that. It could mean both. And because of that, that was not the right choice of words for Senator Darius Dillion. In as much as I don't have faith in that Senate, but I think the language to say they are a bunch of useless people, it was such a harsh language, and Senator Darius Dillion should not have used that kind of language. So if the senator say, my man, we will only give you warning, don't do this again, Ali will bring some kind of consensus. Senator Dillion will say, okay, I think my words were too harsh, and then they will be able to quench the fire. All right. And that is my advice to the senators. And if the CDC has any hand in it also, they should just, put down their political weapons. Political weapon, I mean, whatever game they're trying to play to silence Dillion, they should pull it down. Let the senators be able to give him a warning that you can't talk to the body that you represent as being rotten. If a place is rotten, then get out. But again, somebody need to get in the arena to straighten things. And I want Dillion to be there. We all should want him to be there, whether or not you disagree or not, because the Liberian people elected him. So he should be there to do what he was elected to do. So on that note, folks, in cyberspace, I want to say thank you for continuing to follow the broadcast here. I am opening the phone lines right now. The phone lines are open. You can place your calls. I will start taking calls right now. Right now, I am taking phone calls. So let me see if I can go to the phone lines here to see who all are there and waiting to make their contribution. Yep. Bear with me here. Let me pull on my, okay, I don't have any caller on the line yet. But I want to let you know you can call now and make your call and so that you can participate in this conversation. Let me see if I can read some comments here quickly. Let me see this one from Morris Jr. Morris Jr. writes, many senators in the Liberian Senate are not well. That is a waste of time to suspend or expel Senator A.B. Dillon. Marian Samuels, let them try it, she writes. And Ambassador S. Jimmy writes, hey, Brother Anthony, I'm Anthony or Jimmy. Jimmy, I'm Anthony. Anthony, not Anthony. Hey, Brother Anthony, please let make the record straight. AD won the election this gone time because of other political party involvement. I said that, Jimmy. I didn't say he won the election all by himself. I said he sailed on the ticket of the collaborating political parties. All right. But that's a good point there. But I talk about it maybe at that time you were not with us here. I see the man, Mohammed A. Dukle, watching from Bopolu City. Thank you for watching us from all the way in the homeland. This is Focus on Liberia. I have a caller on the line here. Let me get to my caller here quickly so he can make his contribution. Folks, it is time for your phone calls. Bring them in. I have the man, Jimmy. Eastman is on the line. Jimmy, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Quickly to the issue.
Hey, Anthony. I'm glad you're right on top of it. This is something we have to be concerned about.
Right.
Now, your comment about Senator Dillon's education, I don't think that matters to the people. What the people are looking for now, we look for somebody who will represent them in their best interest and not put their selfish interest in front of the interests of the Liberian people. We've seen people who have had all the education they claim to have, and they were a disappointment. They ended up putting their selfish interests ahead, and so we've been disappointed by those who claim to have education. We want somebody who's honest. What is greater than education is honesty and integrity. I take that any day to any PhD holder. Honesty and integrity will hold up longer, will be more effective, and more trustworthy than any kind of degree. So I don't think the educational level is a factor. As the average Liberian, I don't even believe the average Liberian. If you took a poll of the educational level of most Liberians, I don't think the average Liberian has even finished high school. We've been on the decline since 1980. The educational system has been slowly eroding, and then there were so many stops and gaps that it was unfair to our youth, and this should be one of our prime objectives, to educate human capacity building in Liberia. Now, when it comes to the other point you made about the spending of operational funds toward constituent relief, even though the gesture is noble in some aspect to say, okay, I want to take care of my people, when you take money and use it for other purposes that is not intended for, especially government money, that is misappropriation. And do we want to set that precedent? Even though, I mean, you can look at the Robin Hood scenario. Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. But the fact that he stole does not change. Yes, he did well. He gave to the poor. We might favor that, but there's something clinically wrong with stealing. So we want to make sure that when we appropriate money, funds toward any expense, we want it to go for that intended purpose. Now, they could have made exceptions in the House. The House, they could have sat down and say, you know what, given the COVID um, emergency, we will instead divert these funds toward the relief toward our constituents, at least some of it, and they could have come up with a vote. But we want to make sure that nobody is uh, taking money intended for something else and putting it somewhere else. That's how it starts, and we don't want to set a precedent. Okay. Now, as for the expulsion of the senator, I don't think that thing is going to go anywhere. Yes, he may have used harsh words, but if that would get them on their toes, and to do something, I say yeah. But I don't really believe that it will go anywhere. If it does, it will work in his favor. So that's my take on it, Anthony, and I like how you stay on top of the current affairs.
Yes, Jimin, thank you for your contribution. Like you, I agree that Dillon's education has nothing to do now, in my opinion, about his ability to work because there are a lot of well-educated people in that Senate and not much that they bring to light. These people, because my own senator of Grand Creek County, Dr. Peter Comer, at some point had to confess that they had to swallow the bitter pill of confirming individuals that they know are not qualified, but they did that against their own conscience. There's a newspaper article to that. I have it today because that guy represents me as a senator in the Senate. He's from Grand Crew. He is my, and that's why he said.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a well-educated man that made a decision against his own conscience. On what basis? Because he's a member of CDC, maybe, or because he's from Grand Crew, maybe, or because he's crew and we are his crew, maybe. I can't just wrap my head around it.
Who
Why would
did he
he make a
confirm?
decision that he knows is against his own human conscience? But he did that. That is an educated man. So, I mean, I totally agree with you. The reason I brought that point up was I was trying to tell my audience who is Darius Dillion, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in this thing, when you're providing an analysis, you want to be as fair as possible. And I said it was what Dillion critics have on him. That is the only thing they have on him about his education. And that's what I'm trying to say.
But that will not go anywhere. Who did your senator confirm against his conscience?
He mentioned about many of the young people who like Koji. He didn't call name
Mm-hmm.
to be very fair here. He did not call name, but you could see that he said there are people or there were people that they confirmed that he knew were not qualified. But because the executive sent
Mm-hmm.
those people, they had to confirm those people. He said they had to swallow the bitter pills. What bitter pills? Give me a break. But again, that was somebody trying to confess that they confirmed people that they knew were not qualified. And that was sad.
Yeah, here is one thing I have observed and which we like. We are now privy to what goes on in the House and the Senate. I think transparency is what is needed in that body. It is needed because it will dissuade or discourage any wrongdoing. It is needed because we will know tomorrow the opinions and the voting activities of our representatives. We need to know these things. They should not be able to hide. We put them there to be there for the people, vote in favor of the people. So why are they afraid that we should not know their going ons? Why should it be hidden from the public view? I think for now, where we are, transparency is most important for the welfare and well-being of that august body.
Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you. Well said.
By throwing a light there,
Mhm.
they should appreciate the light and get used to it.
Thank you.
You
Well
know?
said, Jermaine. Thank you always for joining us here at Focus on Liberia. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. So, folks, on that note, I don't have any other caller. We have come to the end of this broadcast. The broadcast was intended for an hour, and we have hit that 1 hour already. So we want to say thank you for always joining us here at Focus on Liberia and always sharing our show. We want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because anytime we do a show here, we upload it to YouTube so that you can go there and listen if you miss it from the start. Sometimes it's easier to find it on YouTube. And so thank you. This is Focus on Liberia. Here we educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia. My name is Anthony Sie. There has been a special and analytical edition of the Hour of Politics. We want to say thank you. Remember, the virus is still around. Protect yourself always. Believe that it's here and continue to believe that and try to practice the health protocols put into place. Because, yeah, I Focus on Liberia, we want to see you being safe. Because of you, we are always here and doing what we do all the time. I was just about to leave, but I have a caller here. I will take this one, and it will be my last caller, and then I will call it a day. I don't want to go far above. Hey, Jonan, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Quickly, my man, you have a minute. I was closing.
Oh yeah, man. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Let me just do it fast. I kind of was seeing your headlines here says something about removal and
Yes.
expulsion.
Yeah, of Dillion.
Yes. So why this? I mean, why this headline? What has generated this headline? I'm very concerned.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. It's like you have not been paying attention. I already
No, I have
concluded
been
the
paying
show.
attention.
I thought you were in the know.
Okay.
And so, Jonah, hey, I appreciate
Well,
you
well.
coming. Maybe you can join us next time. I have to go. I thought you followed the show. You knew why we were talking. You wanted to make your
No,
contribution.
I did follow the show, but the reason why I was asking because the kids did not talk about expulsion or remover.
All right, then that's a fair point if they don't say that. But I mean, I was doing an analysis yet. Why is this happening?
Okay, okay,
So let's leave it there.
okay.
I have to. Management is telling me the
All
time
right,
is
yeah,
out.
yeah. Next time I'll join you.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much, man. Let's do this again, brother.
All right, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, all right, all right. Bye bye. All right, folks. On that note, we will come to the end of this broadcast. Yeah, Focus on Liberia. Again, my name is Anthony Sie. I will bring you our closing song here. I thought Jonan was prepared to dive into the topic a little bit, but he's wondering why this topic. Apparently, he did not follow from the start, but it's okay. Time is my enemy right now. So, folks, this is how we do it. See you. Bye bye.
We are Labira. Labira is our home. Labira people. Ile yubete everyone. Labira. Ile yubete everyone. Labira be Labira. Oh, Labira. I
DJ House of Pain. Yes, I like this one. Him alright is